amazing human beings coming together for one sole purpose to talk about the power of surrender, the power that can happen in your life when you actually step out and let God step in. So we have Justin Danforth is joining us next. And I have to tell you, it's amazing at how you connect with people. How I said, like JR, I've never met him in person. Justin, we connected. I had never met him in person. And then we end up meeting each other at an event. And you almost feel like family, right? You almost feel like family already. But that doesn't happen by accident, guys. Like everyone in here feels the vibe, feels the connection, and it's because we're real, we're raw with each other, we're honest, and I always call us hot messes. Like that's the beauty of all of us. We're all hot messes, and Justin for me is one that I'm like, yes, sir, I can do it. I can do it. I believe in myself. And so Justin, number one, just come in and say hi, tell people where you're from, and we'll get into conversation.
Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Elena, thanks for having me up here. It's good to see everybody. A lot of familiar faces. Some I know, some I've met personally, and then some of you guys I don't know. Yes, I'm from originally. I was born in Miami, but I was raised in Virginia, what we call the 757, the seven cities, the Tidewater area. So, because Virginia is so vast, as a lot of major states are, there's a section of Virginia that is just seven cities, and that's the area that I'm from. I currently live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, though. My wife and I built a house here in Myrtle Beach, about 4 years ago.
I love it. I love it. So the first thing I'm going to go into, because I thought about it after we talked the other night, and it's, you are one that actually pushes me to go for it, to push through, whether you realize it or not. I hear your voice. I hear your voice in my head. And so, you know, if you could talk about picking yourself up from the pity party and just freaking doing it, what, like, how do you talk to somebody who feels like they're in that victim mentality, that life is hard and it's not going well for me? I just want to hear your take on how do you encourage that person to just get up and make the change and do your thing.
So I have to laugh because I have and you know me, Elena, I have a raw approach to this because I really dislike that victim mentality so much. And like every day that goes by, it seems like more and more of society is adopting it. So it's one of those things like nails on a chalkboard, right? It gets under your skin. But for those people, first and foremost, and everybody on here, at least as far as I know, this is you know, everybody on here has a relationship with their Lord.
Yeah.
And so it kind of goes back to that. It's like life happens for us, right? Which is the opposite. Understanding that is the opposite of having a victim mentality. And so for those that have that victim mentality, it's like everything is happening to me. And you can't be grateful to your Lord. You can't show gratitude to your Lord if you're in a constant mindset of everything happening to me, right? Because then you miss the blessings. Because there's things that God rewards us with, and the absence of a thing could be your reward. And so if I'm stuck in woe is me, why is this happening to me? Why didn't I get this car? I need this car in order to get to work. I got to go to work so I can pay this bill, or feed my face, whatever it is. It's like you get you get the things that you're supposed to have and you don't get the things that you're supposed to have. So for the person that has that victim mentality, I would start with gratitude. Learn how to be grateful, like for everything that you have and don't have, because there's a reason you don't have it. And part of not having certain things, it could be because God sees in us that you're not ready for it. It's no different than the poor person who wins the lottery. They're broke in 2 years. They're strung out or drunk or whatever it is. They weren't ready for that amount of money. So you have to become the person who is ready for the blessings that you think you should have. And so instead of blaming everybody, which is a victim mentality, blaming your circumstances or the people around you or society or Donald Trump and Joe Biden, all the things, right? Blaming everybody and everything. Look within, be grateful, because even on your best day, or even on your worst day, rather, you're living better than somebody on their best day.
I love that. I love that. That, see, every time, Justin, every time you drop them diamonds. So now that you like got everybody chiming in the chat, tell people now that don't know you, because there are several on here that I know don't even know who you are. Um, where you were, like, your prison story, what you were facing. And so to hear you talk from this space today, to me is it's a beautiful thing to witness in you, the power that God can do, right? So tell people where you were.
Yeah, so where I was prior to 2002, which is when I was arrested and charged with first degree murder. And I was locked up facing a life sentence at 21 years old with an eighth grade education. Prior to that, I was in a very, very bad place mentally, right? Because everything, as most people all on here know, or everybody knows, a lot of things is mindset, right? So my mind was very corrupt. I just grew up in the streets. I'm the typical street thug, right? And the drug dealing, the car stealing, the hustling, strip clubs, all of the dumb, ignorant baby boy stuff I had been doing all my life. Um, for example, and I had both parents in my life, but my parents struggled. You I smoked a blunt with my mom on my 12-year-old birthday. She took me to get my first tattoo at 12 years old. And that's not saying anything bad about my mom. My mom, she just didn't have parenting skills. She loved us. So letting us do anything we wanted was her way of parenting. And my dad, all he did was work and fuss about not having money. So the example inside of the house, there was nothing ever really set. We were just made to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, yes, sir, and no, sir. We were raised with good manners, but that was the extent of any example really set. There was no religion in our house. There was no. It was just the do the right thing, be a good person, and you'll go to heaven, right? And that wasn't even enforced. It was just go to work every day. That's all I seen my mom and dad do, and my sister and I had to get moved around from household to household because they couldn't afford the lights and the electric and things like that. So to fast forward, when I got arrested, the first time I got arrested was at 11 years old. So if that gives you some kind of context, and you can imagine the rest when I just say typical street thug. So when I caught my murder charge at 21 years old, um, I was at a family affair. It was my little cousin's birthday party. Some uninvited guests showed up. A guy got in a fight with my cousin. My cousin was getting the best of him. He pulled out a butterfly knife, started stabbing my cousin to death. So I shot him. Everybody throughout my entire life, my entire sentences, even the police officers, the correctional officers, my case managers, all of them said, "Man, you were just dealt a bad hand." Because I was sentenced, I took a plea because I was facing a life sentence, and my lawyer said, "You can't win this case. I can't win this case for you. You're going to court in 3 months. At the time, you're going to go to court in 3 months for trial. If you lose, you'll get a life sentence without the possibility of parole. Because at the time, the law had changed. Back in the day, life meant 20, 25 years, and you had a possibility of getting paroled out. When I caught my charge, the law had changed. Life was life. There was no possibility of parole. So
Wow.
he was like, you will get found guilty. You'll lose this case and you'll do life in prison. You'll never see your daughter outside of prison again. And when I got locked up, my daughter was 10 months old. So he said, take this plea. It's a really good deal. Yeah, it's a really good deal. So the first plea he came with was 19 to 24 years. And I looked out and said, I'm not doing 25 years, man. Get out of my face. And I went back to my cell. He came back 2 weeks later. All right, the DA, I got a better deal for you. It was like 15 to 19. I said, I'm not doing 20 years, man. I don't feel like I'm in the wrong, you know? And again, I was really arrogant, pig-headed, whatever. And he was like, all right, he came back. He said, this is the last plea. He said, if you don't take this plea, we're going to trial and you will lose. And it was for the sentence that the plea that I took was 14 years and 4 months to 17 years and 9 months. So that's what I took. I was sentenced to 17 years and 9 months. Of that, I got out on my minimum, which was 14 years and 4 months. That's what I served in prison.
Wow. Wow. So that's why looking at that and knowing just those pieces, but to look at your perspective and the discipline and the mindset, like you're just a powerful human being that I think makes everyone around you better because you do better. And so for that person right now that is just kind of low on hope, just pour into them for a few minutes because that's what we're here. Like how do we tap into God's love when we feel forgotten and just pour into them for a minute. And actually when I think of you pouring into somebody, I always think of my son because you've actually been there for my son and that has made a difference in his life. So what can you just pour into that young guy that's just kind of lost right now?
Man, it's so many of them are, and there's compassion and compression, and so it's relative to the individual I would be pouring into, right? Some need a little more compression, right? Need to apply pressure. Those individuals, I would just say, look in the mirror and grow a set of balls.
Mhm.
Simple and plain. Stop whining. Just toughen the hell up. But some people need a little more compassion. And knowing that and understanding that, dealing with individuals accordingly to as a general blanket pouring into people as a whole, I would just simply say invest in yourself. Look in the mirror. If you don't like where you're at, change. Because one of the greatest pains I've realized that one could go through and face is realize the pain of accepting that where I'm at in life is because of the choices I made. And the flip side of that, Elena, is the greatest joy a person can feel is knowing that I can change my entire life by changing my decisions. So work on, I would just pour into somebody and simply say, like, change the choices you're making. Are you spending too much time in the wrong area, focused on the wrong things? And start there.
I love it. And like Julie says, we can choose to change at any time and it's never too late. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Justin. Every time. Like I just you're amazing to me. Mad respect for you. And just thanks for sharing with us this morning and being a part of whatever this is that I'm doing. Thank you.
It's incredible. Keep doing it.
All
Thank you
right.
for having me.